Well, they used to eat us, so we're going to eat them. Stick it, giants. Eat us. Go David, represent.
We just want to send out our deepest condolences for any giants out there that are currently on the fence about whether to absolutely beat us into oblivion. Mark does not represent all of us, small-sized people.
I'll flick a booger in your eye, giant.
Hey everybody, welcome into Folklore and Flourish. You're here with Jane and Mark on a beautiful March 12th. It has been kind of a nice week, honestly, with weather, minus the wind. The wind's been kind of rough the past few days, but can't complain when the sun's out, can we?
Sun's out, guns out.
Wait, I don't have guns. They just jiggle.
I haven't hit the gym in a couple days, so I'm not going to pull my gun.
So we're going to we're today in the test still. So we're still in the week of the test. We've had some monsters come up, some weapons, and now we're here with the ally. So arguably the most important thing on a hero's journey is whether they're expected or not. Usually they're not, but that person that helps them in one way or another. So today is all about that aid arriving. Okay, so today is the ally aid arrives, and our 4 stories come from Hindu, Greek, Persian, and Haida mythology and folklore. The last one I hadn't heard about before.
So you haven't
these
heard of
stories.
it, but now you do. So where is Haida for the people that
So
don't
it's
know?
in British Columbia, Canada, up in Canada.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that if I did pronounce that mythology folklore incorrectly, I mean, I haven't heard this one before. And after you guys listen to this story, you might think and assume where it's from. I kind of had similar assumptions of what it's tied to, but still, it was cool to, have this. And so I did want to pull Canadian stuff in because half of Canadian stuff is Native American versus Norse. So I threw it all in, and then I get surprised when some of it's neither, or maybe it is a little bit of both. So,
right.
But with that in mind, if you know anything about that, or you have a story that's like definitely it's neither of those 2 cultures you want to share, please do. Anyways, we'll get to it with these 4 stories and thinking about the ally. So we'll see you right after that.
Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that.
Story 1. Hanuman, the devoted ally. In the ancient epic Ramayana, one of the greatest heroes of India was Rama, Prince of Ayodhya, an embodiment of righteousness. But even a hero blessed with divine virtue could not complete his journey alone. When Rama's beloved wife, Sita, was kidnapped by the demon king, Ravana, and taken across the ocean to the island fortress of Lanka, Rama searched desperately for help. He found it in an unexpected place. Deep in the forests of southern India lived a race of powerful monkey warriors known as the Vanara. Among them was one whose strength and devotion would become legendary. His name was Hanuman. Hanuman was no ordinary warrior. Born with divine abilities, he possessed immense strength, the power of flight, and a mind sharpened by wisdom and discipline. Yet what made Hanuman extraordinary was not his power. It was his loyalty. When Hanuman first met Rama, he immediately recognized something sacred within him. "My life belongs to your cause," Hanuman declared. Together with the Vanara army, Hanuman began the search for Sita. Eventually, Hanuman discovered where she had been taken, across the ocean. Between the mainland and Lanka stretched a vast sea impossible for ordinary warriors to cross. But Hanuman stepped forward. Gathering his strength atop a mountain cliff, he leapt into the sky. The wind roared around him as he flew across the ocean in a single magnificent bound. When he reached Lanka, Hanuman searched the city until he found Sita imprisoned within a garden of Ashoka trees. Hidden among the branches, he spoke gently to her. "Rama will come," he promised. To prove his words, he gave her Rama's ring. The message carried hope across despair. Before leaving, Hanuman caused chaos within the city, burning parts of the Demon King's fortress and returning to Rama with news of Sita's location. But Hanuman's greatest act of loyalty came later. During the great battle between Rama's army and Ravana's forces, his brother, Lakshmana, was struck down by a powerful weapon. Only a rare healing herb, growing high in the Himalayas, could save him. Without hesitation, Hanuman flew north. When he reached the mountain, he could not identify the correct herb among the many plants glowing in the night. So Hanuman did something extraordinary. He lifted the entire mountain. Carrying it across the sky, he returned with it, so the healers could find the herb needed to save Lakshmana. Thus, the ally who once appeared as a wandering forest warrior became one of the most beloved figures in all Indian mythology. Not because he sought glory, but because he gave everything to help another succeed. Story 2. Athena guides Odysseus. After the fall of the great city of Troy, many Greek heroes began the long journey home across the sea. Among them was Odysseus, king of the island kingdom of Ithaca. But Odysseus's voyage would become the most difficult of them all. Storms, monsters, and the anger of the sea god Poseidon delayed him again and again. Years passed as he wandered across unknown waters. Though Odysseus was clever and courageous, the dangers he faced often pushed him to the edge of destruction. Yet he was never truly alone. Watching over him from the heights of Mount Olympus was the goddess Athena. Athena was the goddess of wisdom, strategy, and just warfare. Unlike many gods who acted through brute force or anger, Athena valued intelligence and patience. From the beginning, she admired Odysseus. "He thinks before he strikes," she once told the other gods. "That is rare among heroes." But Poseidon despised Odysseus for blinding his monstrous son, the Cyclops, Polyphemus. As long as Poseidon's anger ruled the sea, Odysseus would struggle to return home. Athena could not openly oppose Poseidon. Instead, she helped Odysseus quietly. When storms drove Odysseus onto strange shores, Athena guided his steps. When he met dangerous kings or suspicious strangers, she inspired the right words in his mind. When despair threatened to overwhelm him, she gave him the strength to continue. But Odysseus was not the only one who needed help. Back in Ithaca, his wife, Penelope, waited faithfully for his return. Many men believed Odysseus was dead and sought to marry her to claim the throne. They filled the palace with feasts and arrogance, consuming the kingdom's wealth. Odysseus' son, Telemachus, was still young and unsure how to defend his father's house. So Athena intervened again. Disguising herself as a wise traveler, she visited Telemachus and encouraged him to seek news of his father. "You must grow into your strength," she told him. Inspired by her guidance, Telemachus traveled across the Greek world, gathering stories of Odysseus. Meanwhile, Athena continued protecting the wandering king. At one point, Odysseus became trapped on the island of the nymph Calypso, who wished to keep him there forever. Athena pleaded with Zeus, king of the gods. "This man has suffered long enough," she argued. Zeus finally agreed. Hermes was sent to command Calypso to release him. Years later, when Odysseus finally reached the shores of Ithaca, Athena appeared once more. But she did not reveal herself immediately. Instead, she disguised Odysseus as an old beggar. "Your enemies must not recognize you yet," she explained. Together, they planned carefully. When the time was right, Odysseus revealed his true identity and defeated the arrogant suitors who had taken over his home. Peace returned to Ithaca. Only then did Athena step forward openly. "You have endured storms, monsters, and the anger of the gods," she said, but wisdom carried you home. Odysseus bowed his head, for though he had fought many battles himself, he knew that without Athena's quiet guidance, the journey would have ended long before he reached his homeland. And so the greatest ally a hero may have is not always the one who fights beside them. Sometimes it is the voice that helps them see the path forward. Story 3, the Simurgh and the Child of the Mountains. High in the rugged mountains of ancient Persia, where snow crowned the peaks and winds carried whispers through deep valleys, there lived a majestic and ancient creature known as a Simurgh. The Simurgh was no ordinary bird. Her wings were vast enough to shadow entire forests, and her feathers shimmered with colors that shifted like sunrise over the mountains. In the oldest stories, she was said to have lived through countless ages, witnessing the rise and fall of kings and civilizations. More than her strength or beauty, however, the Simurgh was known for her wisdom. It was said that every feather of the Simurgh held knowledge of the world. One day, a child was born in the court of a Persian nobleman named Sam. The child was strong and healthy, but there was something unusual about him. His hair was pure white. To Sam, this was a terrible omen. In those days, people feared signs that seemed unnatural, believing they might bring misfortune or shame. Ashamed and frightened, Sam made a cruel decision. He ordered the infant to be abandoned high in the mountains, left alone among the rocks and winds. The child was carried to a remote cliff and left beneath the open sky. But the mountains were not empty. High above, in a great nest built among the branches of an ancient tree, the Simurgh watched the world below. Her sharp eyes saw the tiny child crying on the cold stones. The great bird descended. Instead of seeing a cursed child, the Simurgh saw a life that had been cast away. With great gentleness, she lifted the infant and carried him to her nest. There, she raised him as her own. The child grew among the winds and mountains. The Simurgh taught him wisdom, courage, and patience. Under her care, he became strong and noble. The boy was named Zal. Years passed. Far below the mountain peaks, Sam began to regret the choice he had made. The memory of the child he abandoned haunted him. One night, Sam dreamed of a radiant bird whose wings filled the sky. "Your son lives," the bird told him. "Seek him in the mountains." When Sam awoke, he gathered his warriors and climbed into the highlands. There, at last, he found the young man raised by the Simurgh. Sam fell to his knees before his son, overwhelmed with remorse. "Forgive me," he said. Zal looked at the father who had once abandoned him. But he had been raised by the Simurgh, and the Simurgh had taught him compassion. He accepted his father's apology. Before Zal left the mountain, the Simurgh spoke to him one last time. "You must return to the world of men," she said gently, "but you will never be alone." She plucked a single glowing feather from her wing. "Whenever you face great danger or uncertainty, burn this feather. I will come to help you." Zal carried the feather with him for the rest of his life. Years later, when Zal became the father of the legendary hero, Rostam, the Simurgh would again appear to guide and protect their family. And so, the abandoned child raised by a mythical bird became one of the greatest ancestors of Persian legend. Not because he was powerful, but because someone saw his worth when the world did not. Story 4, Raven brings light to the world. Long ago, before the forests of the Pacific Northwest glowed with sunlight, and before the ocean reflected the brightness of the sky, the world existed in darkness. The land was there. The mountains stood tall. The rivers flowed toward the sea. But there was no sun to light the day. The people lived beneath a dim twilight, guided only by faint glimmers of moonlight and starlight. They moved carefully through the forests, feeling their way through shadows. Far away, however, light did exist. It was hidden inside a great house owned by a powerful chief who kept it locked away from the world. Within his house were 3 treasures: a box containing the stars, another containing the moon, and the smallest, most brilliant box containing the sun itself. The chief guarded these treasures carefully, believing that only he and his household deserved their light. But there was one being who disliked such selfishness. His name was Raven. Raven was a trickster, a wanderer, and sometimes a troublemaker, but he also possessed a deep curiosity and a desire to change the world. When Raven learned that the chief had hidden the sun, moon, and stars, he decided something must be done. Light belongs to everyone, Raven said. So he made a plan. Raven transformed himself into a tiny speck of dust and drifted through the air until he reached the chief's house. There he waited near a stream where the chief's daughter came each day to drink water. As she knelt beside the stream, Raven slipped into the water and was swallowed. Soon afterward, the woman discovered she was pregnant. Months later, she gave birth to a small child. That child was Raven in disguise. The chief adored his grandson. The child was clever and charming, and the old man allowed him to play freely throughout the house. But Raven had not forgotten why he came. One day, while playing, the child began crying loudly. "What do you want?" the chief asked. The child pointed to a box hanging from the ceiling. It was the box containing the stars. The chief hesitated, but the child cried so persistently that he finally handed the box to him. Raven opened it. The stars flew into the sky and scattered across the heavens. The chief was shocked, but he could not stay angry at his beloved grandson. Later, the child began crying again. This time, he demanded the second box. Inside it was the moon. Once more, the chief reluctantly gave in. Raven opened the box and the moon soared upward, glowing brightly in the night sky. But Raven's plan was not complete. Soon, he began crying again. This time, he pointed to the smallest and brightest box, the box holding the sun. The chief hesitated longer than before, yet the child's crying was relentless. At last, the old man handed it over. The moment Raven held the box, he transformed back into his true form. With a powerful beat of his wings, he flew toward the doorway. The chief shouted in alarm, "Stop him!" But Raven was already flying high above the land. As he soared into the sky, he opened the box. The sun burst into the heavens, flooding the world with brilliant light. Mountains glowed gold, forests shimmered with green. The ocean sparkled beneath the sky. The people of the world looked upward in amazement as daylight spread across the land for the first time. Raven circled high above them, satisfied. Though he was often mischievous and unpredictable, in this moment, he had brought something priceless to the world: light. And sometimes the greatest allies are not the ones who follow the rules. They are the ones who change them. Hey everybody, welcome back in. Hope you enjoyed those 4 different allies today. 4 unbelievably powerful allies in both large form and small form. So in things we are reminded of every day and things that we don't even think of if we're like over in America, the Himalayas, for example. Yeah. But just to recap that today is the ally and the theme is that aid arrives. Our lesson with aid arriving is that help often comes quietly. And a lot of the time it's often observing before it decides to help. It kind of goes to show that when we are on our journeys, sometimes people are watching before they step in to help, before they step in to influence or motivate or whatever it may be.
I like it too.
Our first story, though, is Hanuman, and Hanuman, the devoted ally. I love that, yes, we get to see him lift mountains in this one. But, and I mean, that's a major thing, huge. But how it said that his greatest devotion was his loyalty.
Yeah.
I really thought that was very poetic to think that. And when we looked into it, though, I'm thinking Hanuman's like amazing. We're reading this story, and then he isn't sure what herb to use. So he brings the entire mountain because there's no point going back, asking, coming back. He might, whatever. So he just brought it all.
Yeah, just grab the tip of the mountain. He's like, all right, yeah.
And this is, I mean, Hanuman wasn't just an everyday person like we are,
Mm-hmm.
He had this ability and still didn't know it all.
Right.
Still wasn't capable of saving them himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the loyalty to put his pride aside. I think that that's something that this story also showcases.
Right.
Is I will do everything I can to help, and that is how I'm going to help. And without him, it wouldn't have happened, right? But he still needed aid. So even our allies need aid. But our allies are, just like we saw in this one, they aren't devoted ones. They aren't here once. We don't have a lifelong, eternal ally for something insignificant, right? These are all hugely significant things. And a good friend is hugely significant, listening to someone. But this one, Hanuman was there in it completely, attached himself to the cause, which meant that throughout that lifespan and the generations, he was there. This wasn't a one and done. I did you a favor. I'm a very good friend. I'm a very good helper. I'm an ally for the long run. And I really liked that. But then we see after, we look up a little bit about it to see what mountain it is. And we hear that the locals actually don't worship. And this might not be correct. We saw it
Not
online.
all, some. It
Right.
said
But some locals, they don't worship Hanuman, and they haven't because he took part of their sacred mountain away. So it kind of made me pause for a second.
Like, yeah, where was that mountain tip to where he moved it to?
Right.
So where it is now, what area did he take it from?
And how did that change it? Right.
Because those are the people probably that are just like, you took our mountain. Because where it's at now, they're not going to be mad because that's where it's at, right?
Well, now, but it wasn't just about, let's say, oh, the herbs are taken, our ecosystem's taken. It was the sacred symbolism
Right.
that are within the Himalayas that was disrespectful based on what we looked into. And like I said, the internet isn't always correct.
Right.
But I did want to mention that because, like you said, in our break, it is cool.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we hear, I look up because I'm like, wait a second, who, what, when, where, why?
Yeah.
Right. And I think you even had that question in the third story today. Wait, does that mean that's a real lineage? Right. I mean, it strikes questions within us in unexpected ways. But it's cool to see how our minds go in different directions based on what we hear, where that ally is. Yeah, we're talking about the ally, but wait, it struck a chord of, can we actually trace this back to a real person? Like, is this our story we can prove, right? Because we're always looking for stories that we can. We talked about it earlier, how we're in the loop of some, like, just internet things of looking into King Arthur. I was just looking at some stuff where I believe her name is Kathleen. She's pretty close to potentially finding Cleopatra. Like, there's a tomb that could very well hold her that they uncovered in 2024, and they're still digging in. But like, I believe you had to go through the water in the Mediterranean, and there was like a tunnel, and there's like a tomb in there. And it has a bunch of symbolism and things from that time, but specifically things that were important to Cleopatra.
Wow.
So,
Well, I know a lot of the stuff actually over there, the underground stuff is all flooded.
Yeah, underwater.
Because they've dammed the Nile River to where now, instead of it flowing down and out because the droughts and stuff, they needed it, There's the only thing I think of when I hear flooding and ancient stuff like this is it's ruined. Like, there's so much that there's no way it survived the water.
No.
Water is cleansing it, and then you have to believe it wasn't meant to be found.
And I think that
it's a bummer because
I like that, though. A part of me really likes that, though, because we do put people in glass cases to sit in a cold building. I know it's just their bodies and that soul is gone from that body, but it's like, I believe it was Genghis Khan, maybe? I don't remember. There's a Mongolian leader that I believe it was him. He got buried, and everyone that was at the burial killed themselves or was killed to protect it. And there are places in Mongolia, if you are searching in that area, where they're like, no, he's here. If you even search in that area, you're done. You don't disrespect that land. They're protectors of that because he wanted to be laid at peace. So there's no testing done there. There's no digging done there.
What would be interesting, though? So one thing I learned today with a lot of these past lives is Genghis Khan was very dead set, right? So who was Genghis Khan? Like, who's his incarnation, right? Paying for whatever karmic. But he made a devotion of that, like having to be at peace. So then his karmic thing could be like never being at peace. His next reincarnation is like something like, God, why can I never or just feeling like you're not at peace because now you're back out in this darn body. What's going on? So
Right.
it would be interesting to look back on and be like, no, I need to go find that, and you need to not kill me because of this. Like that would be a
Mm.
hard conversation to have.
We as beings, I mean, we anger the earth with our
It's
war and our constant destruction that we aren't meant to conquer everything.
no, I don't know. We're not meant to conquer anything except for ourselves, and we're just ignorant.
True. So, the important note for that one, sorry, before we move into story 2, is that true allies do not seek recognition. They offer their strength where it is needed most. So his strength, he didn't need recognition of bringing the herb back. That's why he brought it all back. Like we said, pride is set to the side of those we are truly aligned with. And that's why it is the word ally. We are aligned with them. Our souls are. Because you could be with someone every day and I could have no allegiance to you, no opinion of you, right? Where when our souls recognize another likely soul or another like soul, it does align with them, whether we recognize it or not. The second story, we saw Athena, and we've seen Odysseus a couple times. Athena is a huge helper in Odysseus' story. She is the behind the scenes kind of person. And yes, she was just totally being a jackwagon with the Trojan War and getting involved. So she is a very actively involved deity. I believe, I mean, she is a virgin deity. So she's not engaging in any of that kind of stuff. But I do believe that she loved Odysseus. That was part of the reason she protected him so much. And I believe that with the stories I've heard, Athena, and we saw part of it today, loves Odysseus for his strategic warfare mind. He thinks before he moves. And like she said, it's rare in the heroes. And I like how she went to Zeus. And yeah, it could have been jealousy 100% with Calypso because that's, I mean, it's how
She's
it is.
getting what she wants.
Yes. But I like how she lets him go, with Penelope. But she goes to Zeus knowing that she has Zeus's ear. She's his favorite child, I'm pretty sure. And goes, he has suffered enough.
Right.
And I saw this video the other day where this girl was in this store and this guy came in that she knew. He's like a motivational speaker, had money or something. I didn't know who it was. I think it's some British, somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
Anyways, he went to go talk to this other girl and she's like, just like, oh my gosh. And he's like, oh, do you know who I am? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going around looking for people's dreams and stuff. And it made me think of this. Hold on. And he's like, so what is your dream? And what she says is, I'll tell you about my dream, but can I tell you about my partners first? And the way the guy turned, that conversation was not at all where it was anticipated to go. And she's like, he makes music, whatever. She's talking about his dream. He goes, call him right now. Gets on the phone with him. Hey, is this whatever? And yes, this is, yes. And he's like, what's your dream? Well, I want to produce music and I want to be a DJ. I want to make music. I want to be a DJ. He said, okay. I want you to start right now by saying, I do make music. I am a DJ. And you can hear the guy kind of like nervous when he's there. And the girlfriend's still there, the partner's still right there. I don't know what she was, doesn't matter. But he just said, like, your dream's coming true. Like, and just so you know, like, it's already coming true because you have a partner out here fighting for your dreams. And he was like, I'd be nowhere today if it weren't for my wife fighting for my dream and the sacrifices that our partners make. And that's the part of this story that I just really enjoyed, was that she's not benefiting at all, Athena. She is just saying, I have his ear. I have the most powerful person's ear. I can't go against Poseidon, who's angry with him, right? He's not going to help. She goes, he's suffered enough. Like, it's enough. It's a total epitome of what we would want to be as partners. But something that I think it is a lot of the time is a mother's love. They have been through enough. And I'm specifically like mothers with their sons. And I'm saying that as someone who's, talked to your mom, and it is kind of intimidating because that love you don't mess with. But that love, I mean, to be loved by someone who is deeply loved by another is very comforting as well. And so Athena's story is either the mother, the partner, someone that's not directly benefiting from your success. And I may lead you to your rightful love in this life. Athena had a long time, right? She had a long time. Who's to say Odysseus didn't pop up somewhere else for her? So this was just her saying, I'm doing what I can. I'm not going to reap any benefits, so I'm not even going to put myself in the position. She did it quietly, secretly for a long time. So she did have that enough of restraint for that. And so I really liked this. And the important note was that the most powerful help often arrives not through force, but through wisdom that reveals the right path. So sometimes we don't benefit. Sometimes we are the partner that is pushing our partner's dream, not for our own benefit. That girl in that video, she didn't do it for, oh, I'm going to be married to this totally hot, rich DJ person. It was just his dream,
Yeah.
you know? And that was on the front of her mind because that's what her and her partner were pursuing right then and there. So it was their dream. And that's kind of how he rounded it at the end because she was his biggest ally. I mean, she ran into someone and you get the opportunity to showcase your stuff, right? You go on
The
TV, you showcase your things.
selflessness of
And
her was
yeah, I'll tell you about it, but can I tell you about my partner first?
right.
And just that mattered more because he went, all right, you know what? I get to do a dedication to my wife and now I get to acknowledge her,
Like
acknowledge
as
him.
someone going out though, looking first that's what you want to hear. You want to hear people like me. I want to hear that. I want to hear about people helping other people. Not what can I do for myself? Yes, I'm in that right now. What can I do for myself? But that's so I can get out and help other people. Like I'm doing it methodically, not selfishly. I truly believe that. But when you're going out, people are like, "Oh, I dream of this." And yeah, you wanna hear that. I wanna hear people's dreams, and I wanna help them succeed in that. But to hear somebody wanting to help somebody else is so beautiful. But also don't like, my favorite part, though, is she's like, "Yes, I do have something." And then you wanna hear about my partners, but, like, she's not forgetting about herself.
Right.
Because don't. I think as soon as you forget about self, you lose
Well,
everything.
and she even shared his name. She shared where he's making music and what his name is under. That little bit is huge in the music industry. And
Oh,
then you
yeah.
think about dreams in general. How many dreams have blossomed because someone else said something about your dream?
Yeah.
I mean, the sports. You
Right.
could be the best athlete in your town, but if no one's out there spreading your name around,
Right?
you aren't going anywhere.
Nobody knows you.
We support each other, and yeah, it's like we want to benefit and we don't want to be selfish though, thinking about the benefit. We all benefit long term if everyone's allowed to chase their dreams, to have the
Yeah.
shot at their dreams when it's healing. Music is healing. It was a beautiful call because you could hear the partner choking up. The man interviewing was choking up and the partner was just like, yes, you know, and to just be recognized though too. Like that, what, 30-second video, how that changed so many lives.
Oh, yeah. Love
4
that.
people were recognized for their differences, and it was just, I loved it.
I love that. And then what I really loved about the story itself is how it said that the way I heard it is she was his subconscious. She was his higher self. She
Mhm.
was his Jiminy the cricket, you know.
Right.
He didn't realize it was her. He just thought it was him. Like the way I described it to you while we were at our break is, oh my gosh. So the whole time she's just like, when they're devising the plan for him to go into secret, is he's like, he hears something along the lines of, "Hey, we should dress like a bum." "Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah, let's do this." So I'm having fun with it and I think about it. And then I tie that into my own story of, "Hey, you should quit drinking." "I don't really drink that much." "Well, I'll show you why. So just quit." "Okay, deal." So I had the same talk with mine. And then now mine hasn't came out full force like she has, but not saying that my subconscious is Athena. But that's to me what this story is saying. I
Right.
was having a conversation with my higher self because I was open to it. That's why I'm home. And then because I went through all this and I trusted, myself enough to trust the voice in my head to lead me exactly where I needed to be to make it home safely because that's where I belonged. And then my higher self's like, yeah, good job.
And
Beautiful story. I love it.
also the work that they do that we don't see.
Yeah.
He would have been stuck there with Calypso,
Yeah. He had no clue.
and they would have let him rot there. No one's gonna advocate for you. I'm certainly not gonna go out of my way to upset Poseidon,
Right. Why would I?
who's gonna be on the waters, like, really quick anyways. But the third story, and that kinda segues into the third story too, of we also learn things through our allies. Our allies don't just protect us and give guidance, but when we reflect on them, we get to see all the lessons that we've learned through them, whether it was intentional or not, right? So the Simurgh, when Sam comes up to Zal and asks for forgiveness, that was put in place. Your son's alive. And it wasn't until he started feeling the regret really sinking in. It wasn't the first time he felt it. He was haunted by it,
Mm,
which means Seymour,
with it.
she let him live with it, and she created the opportunity for it to not be wasted. That boy that was abandoned wasn't going to come reap destruction either. This was a humanity lesson
Right.
and the ending. Oh, the things that the world doesn't see as unworthy, I could picture millions of different things, millions of
Right.
different people throughout history who have felt
Yeah.
like that. Everyone arguably has felt like that at
Mm,
one point or another of to just be seen by one person. I told you a long time ago that's all I wanted out of a partner and out of love was I just wanted someone to sit there, and I'm not talking about like family's there for you,
right.
but for someone outside to sit there and choose to witness your life,
Yeah.
like your partner, and see the days when you don't leave the house, right? Where we're like, we're not in the mood to go out, we're not in the seeing, but your partner's seeing why. So they're part of that, and to just be seen by one person until the opportunity arises for others to see you because of the lessons they've taught you. So he ends up forgiving and going because there's also that deep understanding that we have of as humans, I think we're not meant to stay in that divine presence forever.
Right.
That's why we came to earth, because we came to learn things, we came to do things, create and stuff, and not that there's no creation up there. But he knew he couldn't stay there forever. He was protected, he left, and then she just gave more. When you need me, burn this feather and I will come. I just love that. I love that she ends up coming back at such a pivotal moment
Yeah.
because it's almost exciting on both sides because he's getting help for his son, but she gets to give him help that another time
Right.
because it does feel good to be the one that's called, to be the one that does it, that helps, you know, it feels good. And when you do it and then people are like, thank you, I could give you this. But no, it felt good that I was someone you thought of.
Yeah.
I was someone that you gave me the opportunity to be there. A lot of the time, I don't think we give each other opportunities to
Mhm.
help. Well, I didn't want to help, or you're always busy. Give me the opportunity, though, please. Because
Yeah.
my personality may see that you need help. And yes, this is my chance to
Yeah.
prove that I'm reliable. Or, you know what, I have the opportunity. Let me show how much I can help. The Simurgh symbolizes wisdom, healing, and divine protection. In Persian literature, she often serves as a guide who helps heroes discover their true destiny. She doesn't create their destiny. She sees potential in things that don't have any worth. And that's anyone that's abandoned. You know, the Simorgh is something that I would like to think is a worldwide thing.
Right.
There's always someone up there who protects those that are cast out.
Yeah.
I'd
No,
like
for
to
sure.
think that.
No, I think they're worldwide because if you look at, and as one of the things I brought up, so there's this, the reason I thought of it is so while listening to the story, it said its wings were as wide as forests, right?
Hmm.
That's pretty big. It's huge.
Right.
But if you look over at the Grand Canyon, I saw this video recently where it says Dragon's Mouth or something, and it's a little spot on the map. Well, if you zoom out enough, and you follow the line. There's this video I saw recently where they actually do this outline where it perfectly, and yes, you can find anything you want to find if you truly look at it long
Well, you
enough.
mentioned it the other day too.
And I brought this was an other day thing. This wasn't, so I watched this the other day. This story made me think of this. So the lining in it looks just like the wings, or the like the when you're looking at a wing of a bird and you see all those lines in it, right? That's the exact pattern where this would be if it were a wing and it's all spread out like this
Mhm.
bird and a mouth. Like, I'm like, so it was real and it was down by the Grand Canyon, how many ever hundreds of thousands of
I
years.
wonder.
But then the time of when that animal was and when these stories are from is when.
Well, okay, I'd have to look into that. I haven't been putting those in as much, the time
Because
frame.
if you looked at when the story was from, you know, they could have told the story around, you know, say 2000 BC, right?
Right.
That's when they were telling it, but the story could have been from way before that. That was just the myth at that point. They're like, yeah, no, this is what
True.
happened. So it could be hundreds of thousands of years
It's just
old.
interesting how many
Because when did the
serpents,
land form?
dragons, major birds. I mean, we have evidence of huge animals already in the
Yeah,
past.
right.
It just seems like the more that we uncover, the more that these are kind of like,
Yeah, our history isn't what, we thought it was, and I truly believe everybody is really starting to wake up to that fact. Like, little by little, each person is like, "Wait a second, that's not right." And then they're starting to agree, and we're all starting to wake up to where that's where we're going into a whole different discussion about opening up, going into the new earth, but
right. Story 4. This is the Raven one that I hadn't heard before. All I can
yeah,
say about this one is being a long term ally for everyone.
yeah,
You know, the Raven, he was in it for the long game because we can't mess it up. Because I think about it, and if it's something as important as the sun, the moon, the stars, but the sun specifically, the light, if you mess up trying to release it, we're in lockdown mode. I mean, look out throughout history where people have tried to steal something, they mess up, and that thing is no longer possible to
yeah, now you're
touch.
toast, you're done.
So he was there, became the most important thing to that chief family, which is why this is why I thought it was a Native American story, because that deep, or Norse because of that deep
Right.
communal,
You know who I
family
thought of
lineage
though,
thing.
or what I thought of while
What?
you're sitting here talking about it? Shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter. Just shapeshifters in general.
Know who it is. Who's the Raven? It's
Oh,
Loki.
Loki.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be a
Well, we
raven?
have,
Because you got Odin's ravens,
yeah.
and then you got that raven, and then the raven turns into dust. Okay, first shapeshift,
Mm.
then goes into the stomach, and then magically comes out a baby. What? Okay, no, it's to me, it's got to be Loki. Yes, it is a Native
No, I
American
like
thing, but
that too,
it's
and I
just
like the idea that there is serious divine connection with childbirth in any way, or a child being, how do I say it? For babies at all, you know, because otherwise then everyone could have children. But
yeah,
then this kind of came out of nowhere, right? It
yeah.
didn't even say that she had anything. She was just,
It was a
and I'm not saying that that's possible everywhere. Don't think that. But what I'm saying is for people that had those miracle babies, they
mhm.
shouldn't have had them. And they were so thankful. Foster children, they found their child, they found someone. It's with divine help. We're made to find each other
Yeah,
because deep down we're wired to have connections. Even extreme introverts, we have that deep rooted wiring to connect. So the Raven did the honestly most bulletproof plan. Because if you think about it, look at how parents treat their kids, but look at how they treat their grandkids.
mm,
Parents love their children, but I mean, they will, with a nasty look, murder someone for their grandchild.
yeah.
Like they're ruthless.
They're on their little
And
pedestal.
so he did that. And well, think about it. How many times you've seen your parents give your kids something and they break it, they give them something similarly fragile, they do it again because you love them still though.
Yeah.
they're your kin. And he used that to bring light to the world. But I like how at the end he made it clear who he was.
Yeah, he's like, "This whole time, I was not
And
your
you
grandson."
can't resent me because I was, though, your grandson.
Yeah,
I
you
was for
can't.
that time.
Yep.
But look at how fragile humanity is, and you cannot hold it for yourself. You cannot lock us away in the dark. And I do want to look more into this raven story. I love how the stars, the constellation, it was all light was
Yeah.
stolen or was being held.
Mhm.
And it's interesting to see, and I'm going to look this up for sure. I want to know the people in each mythology that were the hoarders of the light.
Oh.
And I want to see if there's
Ooh.
any connection as to who was the one that continued to do it, right? We always think it's deities in certain ones. We have Prometheus, we have the
We have some
raven,
chief
we have
of
Maui,
some type
we
of
have chiefs all over. But like you brought up with the firmament, I want to know where. Is there a place where they all point to the sun was locked at? Because
right.
if there starts becoming patterns, it really was just farther away and someone like,
Hold it in. So this story made me think of multiple other stories, which actually makes it even more sense that it's Loki. Because didn't Odin go get the sun? Who got the sun?
in Norse, I don't think we've had that for Norse.
I had heard something a long time ago because I always like to look and listen to these fun stories because who knows? Nobody knows. So why not
The
listen to
giants
it?
tried to take the
Take it
sun.
with a grain of salt and just be like, look at it for fun because what if it's right? What if this is the story? So the story is, so I was looking at a flat earth map actually today earlier because I want to put it right there. I think it would just be fun to put. But I had seen one at one point where there was a bunch of different lands all over the place. And then I had seen another video where it was like a bunch of different suns and all these things. Well, there was a couple with no suns, and it showed like, hey, this would move. And it would make sense with a lot of the mythology that we have where the sun and the moon were both separately brought here at different times because there's stories about it. So why not it be then now, sorry guys, the flat earth where there are all these different things where they can bring it. Or maybe it is a globe for you globe turds. Where they, same type of thing. But the reason why I was saying flat earth type of thing is there's got to be a way for these stories to have happened. People were already there. People were where the sun was brought to. So there had to be some sort of heat. So we could be here and then they could move the sun and the moon somewhere else. So later on, we will have that story again. It'll get repeated because the sun
Well,
and the moon will get moved and then we'll just redo this whole thing and then everybody will redo it and have a bunch of fun. But now we're moving into the new one. So who knows what that entails.
so there was, I mean, with all of that and how I wanted to look up the other stuff, we can find throughout history where in half of the region, the sun never went down, and in the other half, the sun didn't come up.
Right.
So there are actual like
There's Alaska,
artifacts.
there's spots where it's kind of like that
No,
right
but
now.
I mean like unnaturally. There are tales where the
Right.
sun did not rise, like in
Yeah.
Mexico, where there are places throughout Mexico, and it's not just Mexico, some of those like Guatemala and stuff too, where the sun didn't rise, I believe. And so there's no reason the sun shouldn't have rose.
Ever. Yeah. Like what?
Ever in that location, there's no way. Yes, Alaska, further north, further south, I believe also you get similar.
Yeah.
But
It just
there was
forgot
no
to come up.
reason. So if you were in that time frame and you saw something, then all of a sudden the sun's back on, 100% that thing has something to do with it.
Yeah.
And like
Right.
that thing just
Wait.
become immortal, right? Because through word of mouth, we're immortalizing whatever that was.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we see it. We see some historical evidence that's coming forward. I mean,
Yeah.
giants, which were really fun. Yeah, folklore, little fun stories. Not so fun anymore, is it?
No, and I seen a really cool picture depicting giants, different size giants. So it showed, and this is an old painting that you can find somewhere, and I forget which the painting is, but it was this depiction, and you look at it and you see some tall people in it. But then you really start looking at this picture and there's some really little people in it, but they're normal proportion. They don't look odd, but they're like the length of a they're a full grown person, but they're like the height of one of the giant's legs. And then you pan out, and there's giants outside of those giants that are even bigger than those giants. And I'm like, wait a second. So this is a multiple, like there's few going down because they said giants are the Nephilim, the fallen angels. They're the
Mhm.
offspring of said. And then there's probably the giants of giants that keep getting smaller and smaller. I don't know. But it's just a fun story. So I don't
Yeah.
know. This is a fun episode. So if you guys want to hear more, you should let us know. I want to do more
Yes.
on this. This was a good one.
And there's just so much with it. It raises so much discussion. It raises so many questions. Like, I have a hard time responding sometimes because I'm deciding which way I want to go.
There's so many different ways. I could have taken
And that's
20
so,
different
like,
ways.
me pausing during this episode. It's not me trying to, like, connect your stuff. It's which way do I want to go, though, for this episode. But it made me just think that I'm going to go look up how many major mountain ranges there are, the biggest, and then just start
Himalayas.
dwindling it down, dwindling it down to, oh, so those are the big boys. And here's some of our medium size. And I don't know, it'd just be cool, like, if we are looking above to see what they look like. Because I thought the two that are pretty easy to remember is, I believe it's Polynesian, that island that looks like a sleeping woman, and then one in Alaska. So if we look at a map too, I wonder where the ley lines lay with those,
Right.
as well as their, longitude, and what is it? Latitude?
Longitude and latitude.
Latitude.
I love when that happens.
All right,
Yeah.
let's look into this. And what is it? Pink salt comes from the Himalayas, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Majorly?
Himalayan pink salt. So
Those big pink
the
salt
video,
blocks.
yeah, the video that I seen. So, and it made me think of it even more with the third story with the bird is, and I was telling my mom this. So that's neither here nor there. But so I saw a video where they were saying like Himalayan pink salt is actually petrified giants. And because if you look at meat of any kind and it's pet or like whatever, or how much ever percent salt. So our meat is like salt. So if you look at like a salt mine, it looks like muscle fiber. So look at it's pink.
It's interesting. I wonder what they're getting from that Alaskan one, if any. It's like
I don't
that.
know. So maybe that's why we're supposed to eat Himalayan pink salt. I know a lot of people say that you're supposed to eat it like instead of just regular iodized salt.
Yeah,
Himalayan
well,
pink
I
salt is
have
supposed
pink
to be,
salt here. I have a Himalayan.
yeah, it's supposed to be better for you. Well, just even pink salt in general, I think.
We're just cannibals, I guess.
Well, they used to eat us, so we're gonna eat them. Stick it, giants. Eat us. Go David, represent.
We just want to send out our deepest condolences for any giants out there that are currently on the fence about whether to absolutely beat us into oblivion. Mark does not represent all of us, small-sized people.
I'll flick a booger in your eye, giant.
You're a giant technically to me, so
I'm a giant
you
to a
could
lot of people at my
flick
work
a
too.
booger in your own eye.
What? No. Like I said, there's different forms of
I'm just
different sized
kidding.
giants.
The daily thread is that today we meet the ally, the presence that appears when the hero can no longer walk the path alone. Hanuman crossed the ocean for Rama, showing that devotion can carry strength farther than any warrior's pride. Athena guided Odysseus with wisdom and patience, reminding us that quiet counsel can change the course of a journey. Simurgh raised the abandoned child Zal, proving that compassion can transform rejection into destiny. And Raven brought light to the world, revealing that even tricksters can become powerful allies. Who stands beside you in your journey, often unseen or unrecognized? Strength deepens when assistance is recognized. So they may not be asking for recognition, and that doesn't mean we put on a big show or that we're condescending in any way. It depends on the person. It depends on the thing. And the question that I'm going to leave you guys with thinking is who stands with me? So our thought and question of today is who stands with me? And then our application, we're actually going to apply directly that question, and we are going to go out and thank a helper. It could be aloud or in your head. If you're really struggling saying it aloud, that's fine. Do it in your head first, but then I'm going to challenge you to go out this week and actually thank them out loud. Whether you are stepping outside your door and you are just speaking it, I'm not saying you have to scream it, but speaking it into the world we already know that the wind carries our voices. We already know that there are things out there that bless those for us when we may not have the courage to do it ourselves or the means. You know, the universe has a way of recognizing things. And so we're going to think out loud and not indoors, do it outdoors so it can get out into the universe.
Yeah, I know that August before I met you, I was way into actually doing this exact thing. And when I was at work, it was in the evenings, I would step outside and the wind would be blowing and I would just speak it into the air. And I would just a whole bunch of times and I would speak love into the air and I would just say it a whole bunch of times and then I'd go do whatever I was doing. I'd do it multiple times a night because I would feel that going in the wind and I was like, that's got to energetically do something. I didn't know what it was
100%.
doing at the time, but I was just like, it's got to do something. It's got to be beneficial to somebody at some point, somewhere, wherever this goes, wherever the wind
It's
takes it.
just beneficial just to the universe because we're not only recognizing those people and recognizing ourselves when we're doing it, but we're recognizing every aspect because that person has been influenced by how many things within this world before they reached us, right? And we're also thanking whatever we believe is the higher being. You know what? Thank you for loving them the way you did because that's what brought them to me
Mhm.
ultimately. That's what got them to be who they are.
Right.
So it is it is hugely meaningful, and I like to think of when our families, you know, grandparents that are gone, some of my grandparents that are gone, thanking like my parents going out and thanking them.
Mm.
Their parents get to see that, you know, thanking them, and there are people that are gone that we can thank, and I'd
I
like
know.
to hope that their souls get a little bit of burst of light when they're thanked or when they're acknowledged. Because what else would, like, God or the Great Father want, the Great Spirit, other than to see the lights continuously shining brighter and brighter because of not only what we did here, but what we continue to do through others. So, we are gonna intentionally thank them out loud today, and I think kinda what you said, or this week out loud, thank yourself, and it doesn't need to be for anything. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Mark.
Mhm.
Enough said. And then we're going to leave with strength deepens when assistance is recognized. Assistance. We are more than just one thing. We're body, mind, soul, like all of these things. There's so many dimensions of us. Maybe we need to thank our bodies. Maybe we
You
need to thank our
should speak
minds.
to your body, and you should say thank you and love your body, and there might be things you don't love about your body, but love your body because if you give it love, your body's gonna be like, "Alright, cool, I'll make this even a little bit better so you love me a little bit more." Bet you that happens. But if you talk negatively about your body, I guarantee you, you start noticing things wrong with it. Like, and not in the way where you're like, "Ew, this looks gross." No, this is starting to hurt.
Right. And it's not just be very careful recognizing because there's a difference between it's hurt, it's rotting. We know stress does that to the body. We know
Yes.
anxiety does stuff to the body. So many things attack different organs, but then recognize when you're just taken down, and I'm saying you're hit with that cold and you get it for a couple days and then it's like it was never there. Thank your body for recognizing you needed a break because that's what it just did. It may not have been like a generic thing. It's your body changed its chemistry to mimic. I truly believe our bodies mimic colds and flus
Yeah,
when it is saying stop because I've given you warnings to slow down. And so now I'm going to change my own chemistry because your mind is in overdrive and it needs a break. So sometimes our bodies do turn against us and go, I need recognition. Because what do
right.
we do when we're feeling too crappy? We acknowledge what our body's saying. I need to throw up. I need water. I need to lay down. I need food. I need medicine. We acknowledge it fully. And that's what it's asking us to do sometimes because we overstress our mind or we overstress our spirit
Mm,
and our body takes the blow time and time again. So yeah, I think thanking ourselves for whatever it may be, but acknowledging that sometimes our inner selves do things against our will so that we're forced to recognize it.
I believe that, yeah.
But with that in mind, that was the ally for today, March 12th. I do want to put out a little disclaimer. We'll put it in the one tomorrow as well tomorrow's the loss. I know one, I believe all of them are death, one way or another. But some of them might be a little bit more disrespectful in how they were treated after their death. I need to go through and recheck them. But just in case tomorrow, regardless of what the circumstances are, tomorrow is loss. Tomorrow is the loss. So we as a hero are losing someone, or we as the hero are defeated. We get to see a big hero defeated tomorrow.
Wow.
And it's the one that I was like, that
Yeah.
story might hurt. So I have to like go re-edit it through because it is painful. Loss is always painful.
Yeah.
But just keep in mind that thank yourself today, because we never know what the next day has in store.
Yeah.
Thank others today because we don't know what's happening in the future.
Right.
So with that in mind, thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
And what
guys.
is today? Thursday?
Thirsty Thursday?
Yeah, no, tomorrow's Friday the 13th.
Snap.
So we'll see you tomorrow, Friday the 13th, for
See you
the
guys.
loss.
Love you. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.